Hello and welcome to the Wayfaring Panda. I made this paper for my scrapbook layout earlier, but I lost that footage because the power cord on my computer wasn't working and then the battery died. So luckily I didn't download any of the other pictures, so here's the rest of the footage. Now this paper, I just used watercolor paper and smushed distress oxide and distress ink on it with the packaging technique, and then I splattered some silver ink by using a silver stamp pad and smushed that on an acrylic block, added water, and then splattered it onto the page. Then I cropped my photos and put them on black cardstock, and then I used that larger blue star punch to punch the stars in the corners on the larger picture, and now I'm using this one with the yellow handles to show you how I punched the stars in the smaller pictures and also on the side of the corners on the larger picture. Now you may have noticed I put my adhesive on the back just to the side of the stars because I didn't think of that ahead of time. On this one you see me punching now, I did put the adhesive on first, so then when I punch the star there won't be an adhesive behind it. I will list all the inks that I used in the description below, as well as other products that I used. These are affiliate links, or at least most of them will be. They don't cost you anything extra to use, but it does help support my website and YouTube channel. Now, this is my title I'm using for Stay Wild, and it's part of a cut file that I got from Etsy, and it also has a wolf. And I just pulled it up with my purple tape to keep the letters together. I'm just putting it here to see how it will look. I like how that paper punch has where it's closed up as you punch, and then you can open it and get the pieces out. And it actually had a lot more stars in there than I thought because someone else must have used the paper punch. Anyway, I got those out the paper, but I will be using the black stars that I cut out of the mats and also the blue ones that's in the wolf to the side for the layout later. Right now I'm just peeling off the double-sided adhesive, the paper on that, so I can stick my photos down. This video is part of a hop with the Facebook group Papercrafting Youtubers, and I'll have all the different ones listed below. It'll either be their channel or a direct link to the video that's in the hop. Now the theme for this hop is to the moon and back. So first of all I thought about, well, that reminds me of the saying, you know, to the moon and back, like a mom loves her child. But I don't have any children, so I happened to see that I had pictures of the wolves, and I found a cut file with a wolf and a moon. So I'm doing a story night with a wolf. Now these pictures were taken at the Wild Canid Center in Eureka, but during the day, during the open house. I have been there at nighttime when they do their wolf house, and you go up and try to get the wolves to howl, but you're further away. You don't actually go close to the wolves, and you don't see them, although hopefully you do hear them, and I did both times that I've been. So I thought that was appropriate. I cut out some paper with my brother's scan and cut to make it a paw shape, and this is kind of a grayish blue, which I thought went great with the colors I was doing, and I'm just gluing that down with my art glitter glue. So you want to use acid-free glue for your photo albums so you don't ruin your photos. And I just did my journaling on the paw prints. I just said that this was at the Wild Canid Center and that we were there for an open house, and the type of wolves they had at the time was maned wolves, which they're from other countries. They look ridiculous. They look like foxes on stilts. Very strange. And then at the time, I think they just had red wolves and gray wolves. So I think they had the Mexican gray wolves and the red wolves. Now I know they have painted dogs. So here you can see the cut file I had from the title. So I just pulled it up so that I can put the glue on the back, and then I'll put that back on the paper. I also wanted to do this because several of the letters came apart where it was attached, and also I'm guessing this file wasn't really good because then where some of the letters connected, little pieces came out, so I had to put in the little pieces back in. So I found using the purple tape will keep all those little tiny parts together, and then I'm just putting my glitter glue on the back, and then I'll put it on the page, let it set for the glue to dry, and then I'll take the tape off. And I apologize, I keep getting my head in the way. My hair sure was messy, and I don't know what I did, but it looked like I had fuzz in my hair. I don't know where that came from. Since we were having a snow day, I wasn't outside. I must have been doing some dusting or something earlier. So now I'm just putting the negative piece back here so I can see where my other pieces go and get them lined up correctly. Then I just use my glue and this negative piece to get all my pieces glued down and in the right place. There was one piece I couldn't find for quite a while, and then after I gave up and moved on to the next step, then I found it on the floor. One of the cool things about the Wolf Center is they have been breeding these, but also they've been releasing some of them back in the wild. And years ago, my sister was working in Arizona as a missionary for Native Americans, and she was working at a boarding school for Apache and Navajos, and that was at the White Mountain Apache area. And the cool thing is that at that time when she was working there, the Endangered Wolf Center was releasing some in the land of the White Mountain Apache. So she had a connection to both here and in St. Louis and there at the time. And she actually knew some of the people there. So that was really cool. And besides, wolves are my sister's favorite animals, and they are really cool and magnificent, I think, and they really do play a very vital role in our environment. So a lot of times, of course, a lot of you know that most wolves went endangered throughout most of the United States, mostly because of things like Little Red Riding Hood, and people have false ideas about wolves. So they are very shy animals. They are kind of family-oriented, and so they hunt in packs, but generally they don't attack really large animals, depending what kind they are and where they live. So, like the red wolves out in the southeastern part of the United States, or that's where they used to live anyway, they are smaller, so they don't hunt big prey at all. Whereas, of course, the further north you go, the larger the gray wolves are, so then those might go after things like elk. Now, of course, there is fear of people who are raising sheep or cows. I understand, the concern about their livelihood and wolves eating them, although it's not that common. However, I do support organizations like the Defenders of Wildlife, and they do educational things to help ranchers know how to protect their livestock from things like wolves, and they do have a program where they will reimburse if it can be proven that wolves killed their livestock. However, it has to be a wolf, not if a coyote or some other animal. Wild dogs, those are actually more likely because wild dogs and coyotes aren't generally as afraid of people as wolves are. And the other thing is there's never been a known healthy wolf, at least in North America, killing a person. Now, of course, wolves are susceptible to getting rabies, as most animals are, so that's always a concern, and that's why it's important to vaccinate your pets and make sure your dogs don't get out and go with wildlife. That's both for your dog safety and the wildlife safety. Now, one of the big key roles that wolves do play in the environment is when they live out in areas where they might hunt for things like deer or moose. Some of those animals that there's no other predators, which there really isn't, they overpopulate, and anyone that lives anywhere where there are a lot of deer know that they have become overpopulated, and then they become unhealthy because there's not enough grassland for them, and of course then they eat up a lot of the vegetation. So now I'm just gluing down some of the stars. I glued down the bigger ones already, and then I found that missing piece and glued it on. Now I'm doing some of these blue stars that you can see where there would have been negative space where the blue paper was cut out as stars, I'm just gluing those around, and some of the small black ones. Then for some extra pizzazz, I decided to add some metallic pearl silver from Pinkfresth Studios, and I just pulled those out and decided that I like the smallest ones on there best. Now my camera shut off, so I just added more stars and figured out where I was putting all the pearls, and now I'm just attaching all my pearls with some glossy accents. I really like how this turned out. In fact, it's one of the few times that I think it turned out better than I had in my mind. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, please give it a like. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd really appreciate if you can subscribe to my channel. Please look in the description below for the next person in the hop. I hope you have a wonderful day.